Hey everyone! Tonight we're diving into the history of Peru. It's a country with more history than a used car salesman's logbook. We're talking ancient civilizations, Spanish conquistadors, and more gold than a rapper's teeth. Peru is located in South America, right next to the world's longest snake and some seriously intense rainforest. It's a land of dramatic landscapes, from the towering Andes Mountains to the arid coastal desert. And let's not forget the Amazon rainforest, which is basically the Earth's lung, if our lungs were filled with jaguars and macaws. Now, you might be thinking, Peru? Isn't that where they make those colorful hats? And you wouldn't be wrong. But there's so much more to Peru than meets the eye. So buckle up, amigos, because we're about to take a wild ride through Peruvian history. Okay, so before the Incas showed up, Peru wasn't exactly a ghost town. Far from it, actually. This land was bustling with activity and innovation long before the Incas made their grand entrance. In fact, there were civilizations here way back in the day, like way back. We're talking about societies that were thriving thousands of years before the Incas even existed. We're talking older than your dad's favorite band, older than sliced bread, older than time itself. Well, not really, but you get the point. These civilizations were ancient, and they were advanced. One such civilization was Carol. This society was incredibly sophisticated for its time. These guys were around over 5,000 years ago. That's right, 5,000. To put that in perspective, that's older than the pyramids of Egypt. They built pyramids, plazas, and even had a complex irrigation system. Imagine that, a civilization that old with such advanced engineering. They were like the OG hipsters of the Andes, building sustainable cities before it was cool. They had a knack for creating communities that could stand the test of time. But Corral wasn't the only game in town. There were other remarkable cultures that contributed to Peru's rich history. There were other cultures too, like the Chavin, the Moche, and the Nazca, each with their own unique contributions and legacies. The Nazca, for instance, were famous for those giant geoglyphs that looked like they were drawn by a giant, slightly tipsy hummingbird. These lines are still a mystery to this day. These pre-Inca civilizations laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most powerful empires in South America. Their innovations and achievements set the stage for the Inca Empire, but more on that later. We'll dive deeper into the rise of the Inca Empire in the next segment. First, let's take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more fascinating history. Alright folks, let's talk about the Incas. These guys were the rock stars of pre-Columbian South America. They were like the Beatles of their time. Except instead of singing about love and peace, they were conquering vast territories and building massive stone cities. The Inca Empire emerged in the 13th century and quickly rose to dominate the Andes region. They had a knack for organization and administration that would make even the most efficient German blush. Seriously, these guys were organized. They had a system of roads that would put the Romans to shame, and their record-keeping system, using knotted strings called quipus, was surprisingly sophisticated. The Inca road system spanned thousands of miles, connecting distant corners of their vast empire. Imagine walking from one end of the empire to the other on these meticulously constructed paths. At the heart of the Inca Empire was the city of Cusco, which they believed was the navel of the world. Cusco was not just a political and administrative center, but also a cultural and spiritual hub. The city's layout was designed to reflect the Incas' cosmology and their connection to the natural world. And who are we to argue? These guys built Machu Picchu, which is basically the ultimate treehouse only made of stone and perched precariously on a mountaintop. Machu Picchu remains one of the most iconic symbols of the Inca civilization and a testament to their architectural prowess. But like all good things, the Inca Empire eventually came to an end. The arrival of the Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century marked the beginning of the end for the Incas. Despite their advanced society and formidable defenses, they were no match for the Spanish weaponry and diseases. The Spanish conquest led to the fall of the Inca Empire, but their legacy lives on. Today, we can still marvel at their incredible achievements and learn from their sophisticated systems of governance, architecture, and agriculture. So next time you think about ancient civilizations, remember the Incas. They were big in the Andes, like really big. And their story is one of resilience, innovation, and a deep connection to their environment. The Inca Empire may have fallen, but its spirit endures in the breathtaking landscapes and enduring cultural practices of the Andes. And that, my friends, is where the Spanish conquistadors enter the scene. Their arrival changed the course of history, but the legacy of the Incas remains a fascinating chapter in the story of human civilization. Section 4, Spanish arrival. They came, they saw, they conquered, and took a lot of gold. So picture this. It's the 16th century and a bunch of Spanish dudes in shiny armor show up on the shores of Peru. These weren't just any explorers, they were conquistadors driven by dreams of unimaginable wealth and glory. They're led by a guy named Francisco Pizarro, who's basically the Spanish version of Indiana Jones, except instead of searching for lost artifacts, he's after gold. Pizarro had heard tales of the vast riches of the Inca Empire and was determined to claim them for Spain, and boy did he find it. The Inca Empire was brimming with gold, silver, and precious gems, more than Pizarro could have ever imagined. The Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire is a story of greed, betrayal, and enough smallpox blankets to make a germaphobe faint. The Incas were initially welcoming, but that quickly changed as the Spanish intentions became clear. Pizarro and his cronies used a combination of trickery, violence, and European diseases to topple the Inca Empire. They exploited internal conflicts and used their superior weaponry to their advantage. It wasn't exactly a fair fight. The Spanish had steel swords, guns, and horses, while the Incas were armed with bronze weapons and slings. The Incas, you see, had never been exposed to European diseases like smallpox, so they had zero immunity. The diseases spread like wildfire, decimating the population. It was like bringing a knife to a gunfight, except the knife was covered in deadly germs. The combination of military might and biological warfare was devastating. The Inca Emperor, Atahualpa, was captured and later executed by the Spanish, marking the beginning of Spanish rule in Peru. This brutal conquest reshaped the region forever, leaving a legacy of Spanish influence that persists to this day. Section 5. Colonial times. Not exactly a fiesta for the locals. The Spanish conquest ushered in a new era for Peru, one marked by colonial rule, forced labor, and the systematic suppression of indigenous culture. It wasn't exactly a party for the locals. The Spanish imposed their language, religion, and way of life on the indigenous population. They forced them to work in silver mines, which, let's be honest, is nobody's idea of a good time. But amidst the oppression, Peruvian culture proved resilient. Indigenous traditions blended with Spanish influences, creating a unique cultural fusion that's still evident in Peru today. Section 6. Independencia. Freedom at last. After a really long time. After nearly 3 centuries of Spanish rule, Peru finally declared its independence on July 28, 1821. It was a long and bloody struggle, but hey, freedom isn't free, right? One of the key figures in Peru's fight for independence was José de San Martín, an Argentine general who helped liberate several South American countries from Spanish rule. He's kind of a big deal down here. Peru's independence marked a turning point in its history, but the journey wasn't over yet. Section 7, Modern Peru, still standing and serving delicious ceviche. So, where is Peru today? Well, it's a vibrant democracy with a rich cultural heritage and a growing economy. And they make some seriously delicious ceviche. Seriously, if you haven't tried it, you're missing out. Peru has faced its share of challenges in recent decades, from political instability to economic inequality, but it has emerged as a nation on the rise. It's a land of contrasts where ancient ruins stand in the shadow of modern skyscrapers, and where traditional Andean customs coexist with contemporary global trends. From the bustling streets of Lima to the majestic ruins of Machu Picchu, Peru offers a captivating blend of history, culture, and natural beauty that continues to captivate visitors from around the world. And that's our show.